This is the introduction to one of 6 videos, Donald Trump for King. This is a letter to the Trump family. Your father and sister, Ivanka, are the souls of Charles I and Mary, Queen of Scots, reincarnated into this life, the end time, to be in position in society to overturn the Zionist occult that has taken over the Western world. We messaged a letter to your father on June the 13th, 2012, telling him he could be the hero by announcing, "I am Christ." There is no need to be worried about your father's well-being. Rest assured, I will protect him. Being a man of numbers, your father is spiritually aware of what he must do. Each step in his life is preordained. Likewise, Pope Benedict XVI realised on March 12, 2013, I was Christ. He uploaded an apostolic letter called In Christum Credent on March 26, 2013. Your father is 2.424 years younger than I. This is 885 days. We see in the James Strong's Greek Concordance of the King James 1611 Bible, the Hebrew number 885 is axiom of Hebrew origin, 3137 meaning the Lord will establish, and in Greek is the ancestor of Christ but not mentioned in the Old Testament. It's been removed. The number 2424 is Jesus in the Greek Concordance number listing. As said, 2424 is Jesus in the New Testament Concordance numbers, and the 126 is Agios, eternal, meaning everlasting. Like King Charles I, your father is a nationalist. He has reincarnated as your father, Donald Trump. The Bible has been manipulated by Talmudic Jews over time. However, it is a trap for the Zionist. The Talmud has dominated the world from the time of ancient Babylon. The book of Revelation predicts the mystery of Babylonian religion will be destroyed by Christ and his angels. Born into this end time, we can look back at many inspired men who predicted the end of days would be 2016. Each one of us has been reborn to the earth to be rewarded or removed. Judgment of God. The Babylonian Talmud, the occultist holy book of rabbinical opinions, overtook the Torah of the Jews. Child sacrifice, sexual perverseness, infiltration of all governments, and finally had completed control of the church in Rome by 756 AD. The biggest lie in history is that Jesus was a Jew. He was and is an Essene. And he condemned the Talmud, known as the Mishnah, in his ministry 30 AD until the cross, April 3rd, 33 AD. By 756 AD, the Catholic Church assumed temporal power. Temporal power means power to deal with life and limb, goods, liberty and reputations, all the hopes and fears of the visible world. They had already assumed authority of spiritual power in 606 AD. Spiritual power means the power of the keys, power to open and shut, power in heaven, purgatory and hell. This was also possible in some cases, power to interfere in a supernatural manner, which the common course of nature. This is the same today. It is called necromancy, speaking to the dead via their demonic spirits. By 1087 AD, the Pope became the Vicar of Christ and is the number 666 of the Latin title Vicarius Filii Dei, or Dei. Latin Vicarius 112, Filii 53, Dei 501 equals 666. In Greek, Latinos equals 666. In Hebrew, Romanus means the Roman kingdom equals 666. Hebrew Romiti, the Roman man, 666. In the following slides, a video will be played where a Jesuit is predicted to be the man of the end in 2016 and the end of the Catholic Church. Now, Francis remains a bishop of Rome. He is not a pope. On March 23, 2013, Francis was told by Pope Benedict XVI that he had met Christ, a man living in Australia. However, Francis scoffed at the news. Christ was back. Therefore, for the first time in history, a leading figure denied Christ to a pope, who had recognized that indeed I was Christ, and as head of the church prior to the conclave, he, Benedict, was the highest authority and still pope. He should have stopped the election of Francis. He is not even an ordained bishop, let alone the Pope, king under the sacerdotal monarchy of the Vatican State. He is an impostor, just like the Apostle Paul, self-chosen of the devil. In the following video, you can pause and read the various predictions. The common date is 756 AD, so by adding the 1260 days of Daniel, representing correctly 1260 years, 756 plus 1260 is the year 2016. We see these men, like your father, had been established to take over and overcome the Zionist ancient Babylonian occult that's ruling the world via subterfuge, deceit, infiltration and usury. It was destroyed by Pope Benedict XVI's recognition of myself, Christ, Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, on March the 12th, 2013.
The prophecies of 12 mysterious men all seem to arrive at the same year, 2016, as a year for their fulfillment. Why did these men arrive at the same date? What were they talking about? And what were their predictions? Since the 17th century, evangelical men have written prophecies about the end times, prophecies that most of us know nothing about. They were some of the most prolific writers, preachers, and pastors after the Reformation. These were men who believed that the apocalypse was coming, but not in their lifetime. These men believed that everything had to come to conclusion starting around the time of 2015 through 2016. I will take you through the diverse predictions of each of these men. The first is by a man named Patrick Nisbet, who wrote a commentary called An Abridgment of Ecclesiastical History in 1776. Nisbet believed an end-of-the-world scenario would develop in 2016, in which the Vatican would be destroyed. Interestingly, he cites Isaac Newton in his footnote as the inspiration for arriving at this date. If you've been on my channel for quite some time, you know that I have focused on Isaac Newton regarding a timeline that started in September 2015. Isaac Newton was pointing to this month for some reason, as though it was the start of something. In a footnote, Patrick Nisbet directly references Newton alongside a numerological code. According to Nisbet, if we start in 90 AD, which is the likely date that the book of Revelation was written, and we add 666 years to it, we arrive at 756 AD. This was the time when the papacy became an office of temporal power. It is from there that Nisbet adds 1260 years to 756, arriving at 2016 as the year in which the papacy will be entirely destroyed, followed by the ushering in of the millennial kingdom. As you can see, Nisbet was not shy about suggesting an exact year for an end-of-the-world scenario. Another man who predicted a timeline that pointed directly to 2016 is Simon Patrick in his book A Critical Commentary and Paraphrase on the Old and New Testament, written in 1822. Patrick's work is one of the most unusual of the group I will present in this video, because he offers an extensive timeline in it about the writing of the book of Revelation and the unfolding of biblical prophecy. He ends on 2016. It's the last date included in his timeline. And he makes stunning predictions. The last head of the Roman government would take his seat in 2016 on the international stage, but his reign would be very short because he would be utterly and completely destroyed. For Patrick, 2016 was the last stand of the Roman Empire. The next work is the Paraphrase and Notes on the Revelation of St. John, written in 1773 by Moses Lohman. Moses Lohman believed that a time period starting around 1900 to 2016 would mark the time of, quote, plagues. What he meant by this is unclear. But it is interesting to think that all of the world wars, 1, 2, and the Third World War, which could come at any point, are all within the time frame that he cited as the time of plagues. According to Lohman, 2016 is the end of it all, in which the anti-Christian power is destroyed and the pure Christian church is ushered in. Additionally, Lohman predicted the end of the mystical Babylon when the dragon is thrown into the bottomless pit. These are astounding prophecies, very time-specific according to Lohman, and they were written roughly 243 years ago to be fulfilled in 2016. Another work called The Lectures on the Revelation by William Reed, written in 1878, discusses the end of the papacy in 2012 and the ushering in of a 3.5-year period when the church would transition into a new religious system of the beast. This would bring us to 2016 as a time when Roman Catholicism is fully submerged into the New World Order. Once again, we see a highly specific timeline offered by a man who lived centuries prior to its fulfillment. A fifth prediction was made in the Presbyterian magazine published in 1858 by C. Van Rensselaer. 2016 was identified as the year of a beginning of a new epoch. This epoch is the Millennial Kingdom. The author believed that 2016 was the latest date that this epoch could commence. A sixth prediction was penned by a man named Joseph Berg in 1840 in a book called Lectures on Romanism. He believed that the Millennial Kingdom would begin in 2016 and the papacy would end. He also implicated the Jesuits as a significant part of the beast's final kingdom. This is a somewhat eerie prediction considering who now sits upon the throne of Peter, the first Jesuit pontiff. A seventh prediction was made in the Panoplist Missionary magazine, written in 1809. This magazine points to a 6,000-year calendar of creation, followed by a 1,000-year millennial reign. Many Christians in modern times subscribe to a 6,000-year plan of God fulfilled over several epochs. The writer of the Panoplist subscribed to the belief that the Pope had taken on temporal powers in 756 AD, and that 1,260 years after this date would usher in the final year of the Vatican. Methodist Adam Clarke was the eighth man to make a prediction. Clarke is to this day one of Britain's greatest biblical scholars, penning a 6,000-page commentary on the whole Bible. This man was truly a savant, matched only by a couple of people in his scholarship of the Scriptures. Adam Clarke was an advocate for the idea that people could know the dates and time periods involving prophecy. However, he believed that one could not know these dates using the Roman calendar. Instead, he believed that you must use the Hebrew calendar. Clark estimated that if one uses the Hebrew calendar, then you could arrive at 2015 as the beginning of Roman Catholicism's downfall. A ninth man who predicted that 2016 is a very significant year is William McRae, who wrote The Character and Prospects of the Church of Rome. He believes that the great whore Babylon would experience the wrath of God for having opposed the Lord. This would occur in 2016. He also says that a great jubilee would happen to the church. This is a time period when believers would be protected from harm for 1,000 years. Interestingly, many Bible scholars acknowledge that we entered a jubilee year starting on September 23, 2015. A 10th prediction was made by Robert Clayton, a renowned preacher and scholar in the mid-18th century. He was also a contemporary of Isaac Newton. Clayton made specific predictions that, beginning in 2015, the world would see the following events: the end of the Jewish diaspora, the fall of the papacy, the coming of the Messiah, and the restoration of the Jews. He also believed that this time period would conclude a 2,000-year window of the church. Clayton did not come to this conclusion using the Julian calendar. He created his timeline based on the Hebrew calendar, as he was a scholar of rabbinical literature. An 11th prediction came from a man by the name of John Brown, who penned a dictionary of the whole Bible. In a discussion about prophecy, he suggests that all Jews will undergo a mass conversion, accepting Jesus, starting in 2016. He also states that a force, including Turkey and its allies, will come against Israel in 2016, but this force will be completely destroyed. The 12th prediction is by a man named Philip Doddridge, who cites that Sir Isaac Newton appeared to be pointing to 2016 as a year of prophetic fulfillment. Like many scholars of his time, he believed that 1260 days of revelation should be interpreted as 1260 years. He also references 666 years after the writing of the Book of Revelation, which brings us to 756 AD, the year in which the papacy became a temporal power. He believed that an Antichrist system would be fully ushered in 2016. I did not cover Isaac Newton's theology in this video, but what he said seemed to influence all the other Bible scholars that I discussed. Isaac Newton was first and foremost a theologian, not a scientist as many people assume. In fact, it was estimated that Newton dedicated only 10% of his time to science. The other 90% was dedicated to studying the scriptures, particularly the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation, and the fulfillment and building of the temple. Isaac Newton was wildly interested in the temple for some reason, and he also pointed to this time period, the end of 2015 through 2016. We will see over the coming several months whether the predictions of these men turn out to be true. It is interesting to consider that all of them arrived at a single year, and we are in the middle of it.
I will re-establish all Western nations under my kingdom with a revived righteous royal house. It will not be an election, rather it is my will. Go to Donald Trump for King, Part 1 of 6.